Oh, man. Truckers Appreciation Day 2019. It is an honor to be here with you guys. And I was thinking about what to say today. I asked the mission board what they want to talk about. Last year, how many remember the theme of last year? I'm going to put you on the spot. It was called, What's Your Handle? What's your name? What are you going by? And yeah, we learned some different handles throughout the crowd. Some were interesting. Some were given to him at a very young age. Some were given to lately, but remember that. What's your handle? And so this year, they told me that the theme was going to be refuel. How many enjoy refueling? None of us do, right? But it is essential in life. And so as I was thinking about the parallels from refueling on the trucks, refueling in our vehicles, I thought, man, that just parallels so good with life and our spiritual life and our emotional life. And so that's what we want to talk about this morning. I'll start it off with a story that I heard one time of a pet store driver. He was delivering on his route from one store to the next. And every time he would come to a light, he would stop. He would get out of his truck, take a 2x4 and beat on the sides of the truck. And then he'd run around and get back in, and then he'd take off again. And there was a guy following him, and every light he'd get out, and he'd hit on the side of this truck. And am I supposed to stand back here? You're trying to video me? All right. Oh, I hate being so far from you. He'd beat on the side of this truck, get back in and take off. This happened over and over from light to light and every stop he made. Finally, there was a guy that caught on, and he kept following him, and he's like, hey, excuse me, sir, what are you doing? He said, I got to know. This is the most bizarre action I've seen. He goes, well, I've got a 2,000-pound truck, and I've got 4,000 pounds of canaries in there. So I got to keep 2,000 pounds of them flying all the time. I just gave you truckers an idea how to be overweight. You just let it levitate in there, right? That's how life is, isn't it? We get so full. There's so many things on us. And sometimes we have to get out and beat the side of the truck. We need to lighten our load. I do have another question. This is going to be a survey. It's going to take a little bit of participation from you guys. Is how often or when do you typically fuel up when you're on a trip or when you're on the road? When do you typically fill up? How empty do you let your tank get before you refill it? How many, by a raise of hands, once it's just a quarter empty, fill it up? Oh, you spiritual guy, Al. Good for you. He's the most spiritual guy in here. He knows where we're going. How many at a half tank think about filling up? How many wait till it's 3/4 empty and then you start thinking about filling up? Uh-oh. How many wait till the light comes on? And then we fill up. I like to go, I have that little DTE sign in there, distance to empty. I like when it's about 5 miles beyond. That's when I like to fill up. How many, here's the kicker. How many of you have literally ran out of gas? I want you to raise your hand. Now I want you to stand. Please stand. Please stand. I'm serious. That's honor worthy right there. Good job. Thank you. There's honesty right there. Why do we do that? I had a long distance relationship when I was dating. I lived in South Carolina, and I literally knew exactly which exit I was going to stop. I knew exactly which pump I was going to be at, and I knew exactly how long it would take me to get the trigger started, use the bathroom, and get back in, because I was coming to Ohio to see the most beautiful girl in Holmes County. But I had it all timed perfectly. And so that's what we want to talk about this morning. Why do we run out of gas? I'm going to give you 10 reasons that I think are part of the reasons that we run out of gas. You might think of more, and that's fine, but these are the 10 that I've come up with that run out of gas. And these all parallel. What I want you to do as we go through these, I want you to parallel these to your life. Whether it's an emotional, whether it's relational, whether it's financial, spiritual, however it parallels with you, I think we can take a lesson from running out of gas and refueling. The number one reason number one that we run out of gas is because we start our day without filling up, without a full tank. We start our day, we start the trip without having a full tank. And I'm just another survey. How many fill up before you leave? And I mean, if it's an eighth down, it's not, right? That's me. It's got to be full because I know exactly how long it's going to take me if I'm on 77. Now, if I head over to Lancaster, Pennsylvania to see my sister, I miss every good gas station because I don't know where to stop. I get all the crappy ones because it's like, but I'm a very conquering type person. So it's important that we start our day, we start our trip with a full tank. And how do we do that? You guys know that is a time of meditation in the morning. It's a time of coming to God in prayer. It's a time of reading and just a few moments that we can take to fill our tank. Because I promise you, when you get to about halfway through a Monday at a furniture store, you're glad that your tank was full. And I know that probably goes with any one of you guys that have a business or any guys that are on the trucks. Those days that get hectic, you're glad that your tank was full. Reason number two, being too busy to pause and refuel. Oh man, I'll just go a little bit farther. I can make it, what does the distance to empty say? I can make it just a little bit farther. I'm already late for my appointment. I'll fill up afterwards. I've got one more hour on my e-log. Surely I can make it to that, right? Same is true in our life. If we don't have a regular period of refueling spiritually, emotionally, we're going to run out of gas. Reason number three that you might run out of gas is there may be hidden leaks in your gas tanks. Unaware of hidden leaks that drain you. And those there are so that you get involved in your life so much. And the two categories of hidden leaks that I feel are your relationships and your responsibilities, because both of those are very, very important in our life. We all are in relationships. We are all have responsibilities that we have to take care of. But which one of those? Which ones are the ones that are draining us? Hidden leaks in our life. That's why you're running on empty. So sometimes, in relationships especially, there's some times that you don't even realize it because it can be your family. And it can just be something that's going on between you and a loved one that's draining you emotionally, and it's making you run out of gas. And in responsibilities, you'll run out of gas if there's hidden leaks. The more you have, the more that responsibilities you have, the bigger your risks are for leaks. Reason number four that you will run out of gas is ignoring the owner's manual and pushing my truck farther than it was created to go. I'm going to ask a simple question. How many have ever read their owner's manual under Peterbilt or KW? You haven't even read it. How do you know how to drive it? Now I'm going to ask all you four-wheelers. How many have read the owner's manual in your vehicle? No one. We just know how to do it. But guess what? Inside of that owner's manual, there are so many little details. These guys that create these vehicles and make these vehicles, they study these things over and over, and they run them and they test them. They know exactly at what RPM and how far that vehicle can go. They have it all in there if you were to read it. But why don't we read it? It will tell you how far your vehicle was designed to go because they've tested it over and over. And all the faith in the world won't make that tank bigger. That tank is as big as it is because of what they put in it. They know that's what the manufacturer gave it. And it's so true in our spiritual life. The Bible is our owner's manual. The Bible is our owner's manual. It will tell you what you can and what you can't do with your life. And if you ignore your owner's manual, you will run out of gas. You're going to run out of gas if you ignore it. So all over the world, though, in every culture, people are pushing and pushing, and they're emotionally running out of gas. Relationships are dying, careers are dying, dreams are dying because people push themselves too far. They're not paying attention to the owner's manual. God gave you and I a certain size tank, and if we ignore it, we'll run out of gas. Our body can only take so much. Our bodies are designed, and every one of us is different. Our emotions are inside of that, and our mind capacity is inside of that. And God created you not to run out of fuel. I mean, one of the obvious ones that the owner's manual that the Holy Bible talks about is 7 days and there's rest. And I think I feel the fish are probably biting today and there's tea times available. I think that's all part of rest. I really do. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet for you because I want to make sure you enjoy this beautiful day. But it's a day we need. I don't know if it's on Sunday. Maybe you're on a different religion or a different walk of life. I don't know where you're at on that, but that you need a day. God designed a day. In fact, he put it in the Big Ten. He put it right beside thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. You need a Sabbath day in your life where you rest and you take care of yourself and you refuel. That's what the Sabbath is for. And I think sometimes, I mean, for me, and Becky can probably tell you, sometimes the most spiritual thing that Jimmy Mast can do is take a nap. Yeah? Y'all with me on that? Yeah. Sometimes the most spiritual thing that I can do and the most awesome thing I can do for my family is take a nap. Actually, sleep. Reason number 5 that we might run out of gas is we hurry. If I drive faster, the faster I drive, the faster I run out of gas. Now, none of us have that problem. I know we don't. You guys all just baby those trucks and we baby our vehicles. But it gets my attention when I hear somebody just take off at a light. I'm like, oh man, they could have went at least 10 more miles just off of not doing that, right? I'm pretty tight when it comes to that stuff. So you guys all know the difference between driving 80 miles an hour down the road versus 40 miles an hour down the road. The difference in your gas mileage is going to be quite something. Driving fast wastes gas. And so it is in your life if you hurry, hurry, hurry. And here's where I fall short. This is where Jimmy Mast falls guilty. You know what? I got to bed this morning at 2:15. I got up at 6:30. So that's too fast. I understand. But I got to sacrifice for the truckers. See, I start to reason with myself and I start to barter with myself and I start to make deals that surely I'll be all right. But the most spiritual thing I can do this afternoon is take a nap. Amen? So the hurry in our life, it depletes us spiritually, it depletes us emotionally, it drains our energy, it drains our body. And my question to you is, what is the speed of your life right now? What is it? Take inventory of your life. What speed are you traveling right now? And if you're racing, you're burning fuel. If you're racing around, you're burning fuel. Reason number 6 that you might run out of gas is this: being distracted and not watching the gauges. Now, I looked inside of a lot of those trucks yesterday, and I mean, you guys got gauges for days. I just need a couple. I just need a gas gauge and my temperature gauge. That's all I want. But you guys got gauges. You guys watch those gauges? Peanut, you watch them? How about the ones on your remote control? You got gauges on that? Yeah. So, but that could be a huge player in running out of gas if you're busy texting, or shouldn't be texting and driving, but if we're busy with, maybe we're listening to music, maybe we're getting distracted by things and we're not watching our gauges. And meanwhile, the gauge is correct. We look down and we say, that can't be right. I just filled up. Surely that's not right. But the terrain that we drive and the speed that we drive and some of those things, that's going to give us variance, and we need to trust our gauges. My gauge, I'll just be honest with you, there's 2 major gauges, and y'all can tell what the one is. I gain weight. I get stressed, and so I eat, and I put on weight. That's a major gauge. And you say, well, your gauge is about to go. I know it is. I'll get it. But when I'm overstressed, I eat too much. How many relate to that? Don't raise your hand. I'm tired. So sleep Sleep is another big gauge for me. I can always tell when I don't get enough sleep. My tank is empty. The irritability part of that is a big gauge for me. And maybe you can relate to that. I don't know. But if I start to get really touchy and start getting irritated really fast or faster than normal, then we know that's a gauge that we watch. I'm trying to do too much. But if my wife says, hey, you're kind of touchy today, then I know that my gauge, she's reading my gauge better than I am. Yeah. Too much is going out, not enough is coming in. That's how we run out of gas. We need a good balance in our lives of coming in and going out. So reason number 7, here's the canary one, being overloaded. Having 4,000 pounds of canaries on a 2,000-pound truck isn't going to, you know what, that's not going to save you fuel. You're going to run out of gas if you're carrying too much weight. But you think the more I carry, the better I am, the more money I can make. I understand that. But the sooner you're going to run out of gas. That gauge is going to go faster when we carry too much. And we lie to ourselves and we say, we can handle this. I can take another responsibility. I can take this other commitment. I can do this. And I'm here to tell you, when you say yes to one thing, you're always saying no to another. Keep that in mind. Reason number 8 that you might run out of gas is pressure to do it now. I'll be honest, I'm guilty of all of these myself. Pressure to do it now. Rapid acceleration wastes gas. And this happens in our life. When we're always in a hurry, the gauge moves fast. Reason number 9 that we might run out of gas might be pride. It's pride. Assuming that the limit of that tank doesn't apply to you. I can do it. Some of you think you're Superman. None of the laws apply to you. That's what you think. And meanwhile, there's laws of nature. There's laws of God. There's laws of the earth, the way that it is. The law of protocol, the law of honor, all of those laws. And you think they don't apply to you because I got to go. I got to get it done. So, pride will empty your tank very quickly. Reason number 10. There's no margin. You haven't left any margin. Not allowing time to fill up. If I could sleep one more hour. See, then what happens is you don't start your day with a full tank. You start pushing things. You overload. You run too fast. All of these things progress into this. Not allowing time to fill up. You didn't take time to plan. And so we run out of fuel. Many of us are running low. Many of us are running low. If we're just honest with ourselves, we run low. So here's the question. How do you keep your tank full? We're talking spiritually now. How do we keep it full? Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, as we study refueling. It says this, and Jesus says it, if you are tired from carrying heavy burdens, and I am so sorry about, y'all probably can't see that, can you? I'll read it to you. If you are tired from carrying heavy burdens, come to me and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in spirit, and you will find rest for your soul. For the yoke I share with you is easy to wear, and the load is light. Number 1 step to refilling your life and refueling today. To filling your tank. The number 1 is you got to get fed up. You have to be fed up with the way that you're living. You have to be fed up with the lifestyle that you've created. You got to get fed up with the riffraff and the race and the rat race. Because nothing will happen in your life until you get fed up with the way that it's going. So as long as you're willing to live in a rut, and as long as you're willing to live stressed out, nothing's going to change. As long as you're willing to be overextended, nothing's going to happen. You got to get fed up. You got to say, you can't listen to your partner. You can't listen to those around you. You personally have to say, I'm not going to live this way anymore. In Matthew chapter 11, Verse 28, as he starts that out, it says, if you are tired from carrying your heavy burdens. If you're tired, you got to get fed up. You know that. On a personal level, you know where you are. You can recognize if you're tired or not. Are you tired of running on empty? Are you tired of it? Are you fed up with the pace of your life? Or are you willing to do something about it? You've got to get fed up. Step number 2 is you got to come to Jesus. It's just that simple. You got to come to Jesus. He says, come to me. Bring me the good in your life. Bring me the bad in your life. Bring me your frustrations. Bring me the painful of your life. Just come to me. He says, come to me and I will give you what? Rest. Doesn't that sound awesome? And that's what this weekend here is designed for, is to give you truckers a shot in the arm and everybody that attends a shot in the arm just to refuel and to go again and to face life with a new attitude and a new outlook. That's what this is. Notice what he says. He doesn't say come to church, although we're glad that you did. He doesn't say come to religion and rules. He doesn't say that. He simply says come to me. You want to refuel? Want to refuel? Come to Jesus. It's interesting, in the Bible, over and over and over, people came to Jesus for different reasons. They came to him for advice. They came to him for forgiveness. They came to him for healing. They came to him for eternal life. They came to him to criticize him, to question him. They even came for food. Yeah. Doesn't matter why you come to Jesus. Come to him. You might say, well, look, I'm tired. I'm stressed. I'm depressed. I'm involved in this. I'm ashamed. I'm bitter because this happened. I'm lonely. I'm guilty. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you're at. If you want to refuel your tank, come to Jesus. Jesus doesn't care why you come. It matters that you come. So come, he says, come to me and I will give you rest. Do you believe that this morning? So first we got to get fed up. And second, we got to come to Jesus. And the third thing that's in this scripture is we got to give up control. Oh, that one's going to hurt. It hurts me. We got to give up control. Some of us, especially as leaders and fathers of the home and leaders of anything, any type of leadership, the reason for our overload and the reason that our tank is getting empty is because we think we got to control everything. We think it all depends on us. We think we hold everything together. The greater your need to control, the more stressed and overloaded you're going to be in life. And sooner or later, you're going to realize, though, and most of the things that matter in your life are out of your control anyway. I recognize that. When my wife got sick, I was just talking about it this week. It was at the end of Jimmy, at the end of me, is where the miracle happened. I wasn't in control of that, not even one bit. It was at the end of me that I found that peace. And I found a rest. Inside of that situation, the most gnarly, crazy situation that had ever happened to me, my wife was without a heartbeat for 35 minutes. Do you think I was in control? Not even for a second. But at the end of me is where I found peace. And at the end of me is where the miracle happened. Does that make sense? And God's saying, give it up. I can do something for you if you give up control. Matthew 11:29, it says it like this. Take my yoke upon you. And you say, wow, well, you guys all know what a yoke is. It's a wooden frame that spans between different animals. A lot of times it's just 2 of them, but you can put up to 6, 8 of them in a yoke. And it's designed to carry a burden, and it's designed to make the load lighter. And when we first think, take my yoke upon you, we think that could be a heavy thing for us to do. But Jesus is saying, come to me, yoke up with me, and I will take you. I will help you with your load. There's a couple things to keep in mind with a yoke. When you yoke up with Jesus, this is what you need to understand. Matthew chapter 11, verse 30, I'll just read that real quick. It says, for my yoke, Jesus is saying, is easy, and my burden is light. When we are yoked with Jesus, here's two things to keep in mind. We move in the same direction as Jesus, and we move at the same pace as Jesus. We can't move faster than what Jesus does. See, when you're yoked up with something, you're paired to it, and you're connected to it. So he's saying, take my yoke. What he's really saying is give up control. I'll do it for you. Give up control. And I'm here to tell you, you won't have true peace in your life until you give up control to God. If the worship team wants to come forward, you can do that at this time. So we get fed up. We come to Jesus. We give up control. And the number 4 thing and last thing here is we learn to trust. How do you keep your tank filled? We got to learn to trust. Matthew chapter 11, 29, in the last part of it says, learn from me. Jesus is saying this, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. How do we learn? How do we learn about Jesus? We read God's word, and we study the ways of Jesus. And it says it very plainly. And a lot of times us as men, especially, we think that we've got this. We have this attitude of endurance. We've got enough stamina. We can do this. We can put our head down and we can get through. I'm here to tell you, Jesus teaches us right here in this verse that his spirit is gentle and it's humble. It's exactly opposite of what we as humans tend to think actually works. We learn from Jesus. So we get fed up. If you guys would stand. We get fed up. We come to Jesus. We give up control. And we learn to trust. It's time to refuel. I hope that this weekend has been an inspiration and an encouragement to all of you guys. Everyone that's here, including the truckers. Thank you for making this weekend possible. Learn to trust Jesus. Learn to go to Jesus. Give up control of your life. It's where the miracles start. It's where the peace is. God bless you guys. Let's bow our heads.